Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. Today we have an unboxing of the brand newly released game from GMT Games. This is Almoravid, game design by Volko Runke. This is Volume 2 in the Levian Campaign series. Volume 1 is Nevsky, and the development scene on Levian Campaign is really rocking right now. There's a whole bunch of stuff on pre-order on GMT's P500, and even more in development. So clearly lots of designers are excited at the opportunity to add to the Levy and Campaign series. So let's open her up. So we've got what I take to be a 3-inch box from GMT. So that's always nice. I don't think there will be a problem getting all the components back in the box. Complexity is rated a 5. Bluntly, based on looking at Nevsky, I think that's probably a high estimate. I'd put it at a 4, maybe even a 3. This could be different. We don't know. I'm just basing that on my assumptions based on the previous game in the series. Solitaire suitability 7, so that's potentially true too. And the components, like the components for Nevsky, promise to be extremely attractive. So let's open her up and see what we get. I feel like it actually hasn't been that long since I've unboxed anything from GMT, but that's nonsense. Now, this is, of course, about the Reconquista, which is kind of a pet subject of mine that there's not a lot of games about, so I haven't done a lot of coverage on it. But this is part of it. This was a centuries-long conflict between Christians and Moors on the Iberian Peninsula, and this is one particular 2-year period of that. So let's see. We're going to start off with this sheet of stickers. We have, this is the rule book. There's not a series rule book, I think. So looking at the rule book here, let's try and make the space. A summary of changes from Nevsky. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay. Full color, satin finish paper. You might argue with me about that, feeling it, but you know, maybe it's matte. I'm having a hard time. I think there's some of the recent paper used for wargame rule books is just a little bit glossy, so to me it feels like satin finish, and it's really just matte. Setup and calendar. So let's see here. There's the combat system. Lots of illustrations. Looks like a good use of color. We've got scenarios. So this is a 36-page rule book, and we've got about 23 pages of rules. And then we're into scenarios. And we have, let's see, looks like there's 6 scenarios. That's pretty good. Toledo beset, quelling of the Tahoe, Parias Wars, Arrival of the Africans, Alfonso and the Almoravids, and Reconquista and Riposte. Okay. Color maps featuring the placement of these scenarios. Obviously, it's a one-map game. There's going to be a mounted map in here. See, scenario F includes a winter season. Here's a glossary in the back. That's rather nice touch as well. That's the kind of thing I like to see, and which I don't see as often as I would like. So we have, the rule book here is 40 pages. And then we have the background book, which is noticeably thicker, 68 pages. So leafing through this, again, you know, pretty standard GMT paper, matte-ish finish, strategy tips from John Campbell. So this is really like a playbook. Solitaire team play, here's examples of play, lots of examples of play, which is great. That is, you know, not optional, as I've said before. Big discussion of the geography, which is fascinating, actually. And this actually tells you what the game map covers on the Iberian Peninsula. It's not the whole peninsula. We've seen with Granada that came out from Compass not too long ago, we've seen 2 games on the Reconquista that have come out in the last couple of years, and I think there's at least one more that I can't remember the name of. So, you know, hopefully this subject is picking up as a topic for war games. We have a bunch of the leaders here get their big discussions. Here's the Christian leaders. El Cid is one of the individuals here. Here's the campaign history. It's always nice to see how the history portrayed in the game played out in history. And then here is notes on the cards. So lots of material to go through here. Looks like it's a very, I mean, from what I'm seeing, it looks like a very complete package. Heraldry and fonts. That's cool. There's a little discussion of that. English language works. Nice bibliography. Spanish language works. I would expect that there's a lot more on this in Spanish than there is in English, but it is also, you know, relatively lots of folks here in the U.S. speak Spanish too, so that's going to make it easier. We have counters. These are on the now standard, very thick GMT brown core stock. And we have what look like roughly 5/8 inch counters, pre-rounded corners in most cases, but there's a bunch of square ones too. I, of course, will round the corners on the square ones as well. And then these are the units. I'm not 100% on the nomenclature on this, but these are essentially the units and or the leaders, one or the other, that you then like add the units to and move these. This is what you actually move around on the map. And then we've got counters for a variety of things: transport and provender and loot and coin, and a cute little proof of purchase thing too. So that's pretty cool. And I will note that these big rectangular counters have rounded corners as well, which is nice. So there's not a lot I'll have to round in here, which is always nice. Now I'll typically put a game like this in the dollar store trays. So I anticipate not having any look at this. I anticipate not having any problems doing that. So there's some player aids. So here is a Taifa politics reference. Do not quote me on any of the pronunciations in here. Orientation map, Iberia circa 1085. Okay, that's cool. And then we have the command summaries, battle and storm, force summaries. Presumably, are these identical? Kind of looks like they are. They look like they are, in fact, identical. And then on the back, you have a sequence of play. This is on my short list of things I want to get played. There's a board, which we'll get to in a moment. We'll do that next. After these, are these player screens? They are what looks like player screens. And really doing a nice job of highlighting the cool heraldry of the period in the game components. Graphically, and this is true of Nevsky too, although a lot of folks objected to the box art on Nevsky. I have seen absolutely nobody say that the inside pieces of Nevsky are not anything less than totally gorgeous. And here's the the front of that. I believe this is 100% in keeping with the standard of component attractiveness set by Nevsky. So let's set the board up and we'll take a look. Okay, so this is the board. It is a mounted map. It feels very solid. It is 3/4 size from a standard sized wargame map. Like virtually all GMT maps out of the box, it is pooching substantially. I have found that they don't just fix themselves in due time, which I would prefer that they do, and that I have to do a little bit of backbending to get them to lay flat. I have broken them doing that. I'd really rather that not happen here. And then on the side, of course, we have this. I'm not sure what this display is called, but it is, in fact, the turn record track. So we're going to track the turns on this, and these are the different seasons. So very attractive map, very thematic, very in keeping with the atmosphere of the game's topic. Okay, so we get a couple of different bags of pieces here, including this bag, which came in the box with a giant hole in it, and which I have now picked up off the floor. So that was fun. And you're going to put the stickers that we saw earlier on these wooden discs. We will, of course, replace these with this bag with a bag that doesn't have a giant hole in it in a second. But pieces in a variety of colors. We have a bag of tiny baggies, which are probably not big enough. We have six-sided dice in yellow and what actually looks like light here is a little bit weird right now, so it's hard for me to say. What looks to me like very, very similar to a U.S. Army green, which is not inappropriate, particularly, but they're pretty attractive dice that I may end up repurposing here. I will, of course, use green dice for the Muslims. And we've got some additional blue pieces. I'm not sure what these are for, but they're different color pieces than are found in here. And they appear to be the shields, which are typically cavalry, and I think the rectangles are just infantry troops. So put that to one side. We have, back in the box here, we have a box insert, which will be dealt with in the traditional way that we deal with box inserts around here. We have a huge brick of these like commander cards, and an equally huge brick of game cards. So let's look at all of these. These are thoroughly shrink wrapped, and these are on a thick cardstock that feels just like the counter stock to me. Okay, so we have here a little battle board, and then for each leader in the game, we have a card, and then you put the units on the cards. And very easy to tell the difference between the Christians and the Muslims here, because the Muslims have these banner type flags and the Muslim flags are different at the bottom. So to what extent that's historical, I have no idea, but it all looks great. Here's El Cid, here's Alfonso the Sixth. So let's look at the cards as well. There's a huge brick here. I'd say that's about 120 cards, I'm guessing, but I'm probably pretty close. Okay, and we have Arts of War. We have Command. We have more Arts of War. It looks like there are two different decks, one for each side. And here's more Command. Okay, so there's actually 4 different decks in here. This would be the Muslim Command deck. This would be the Christian one. This would be the Muslim Arts of War deck, one would presume, and this would be the Christian Arts of War. So we've got, let's see, terrain stuff. I don't remember enough about Nevsky to really tell you something really insightful about what's on the cards. These are basically activations, as far as I'm aware, on the command cards. So the cards themselves feel like pretty standard modern GMT, which means that some of the old GMT cards felt like they might be too thick and they felt like they chipped a lot. And the more recent cards from GMT, I don't feel like they have had that problem. Nevertheless, it is my typical habit these days to sleeve cards in GMT games. All right, so this has been a brief look at Almoravid, the brand new release from GMT in the Levian campaign series by designer Volko Ruhnke. Take a look at GMT's website if you are interested. Hopefully you have enjoyed the video. If so, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to the channel and click the little bell icon to get notified when new content comes out. If you'd like to help support Ardwulf's Lair, you can consider becoming a patron. Thank you to patrons of Ardwulf's Lair and other supporters. Links to the Patreon page, the merch store, and the Ko-Fi are in the video description. Again, thanks for watching, and until next time, happy wargaming. Oh, Jesus.